Well, good afternoon to you and welcome to Good Afternoon Ghana here on Metro TV. I am Bright. We are live on Facebook and YouTube at Metro TV Ghana, also on Twitter and on Instagram at Metro TV GH. You can join the conversation wherever you're watching us from on DSTV, channel 277. And today we are talking about the NPP presidential race. Who becomes the next president or the person to lead the NPP as we go for the next general elections here in Ghana come next year. We are focusing mainly on the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA. Some more transfers coming in from his competitor, Kennedy Japan. Let me give you this bite before we go for a quick break. So, published on City Newsroom, it says presidential hopeful Kennedy Japan has alleged that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA's campaign team attempted to bribe him to accept an offer to be his running mate, but he refused. Mr. Japan also accused Dr. BAWUMIA of engaging in an act that had the potential of collapsing the party, which is the NPP. Also in Daily Guide Network, it says there has been claims by the former MP for Suhum, Frederick Opare, and said that Kennedy Ohene Japan was demanding $500 million worth of contracts annually from Vice President Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA when elected president before Kennedy Japan steps down from contesting the presidential slot of the party. What? Or were there any attempt from Kennedy and a rejection by the president, the vice president, here in the person of Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA at all? So also from Connect Ghana News, it says Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA, the vice president of Ghana currently, and presidential hopeful in the new patriotic party NPP's November 4 elections, has blasted Kennedy Japan for allegedly peddling falsehood to do or to tarnish his image. What exactly are the conversations like? Here on Good Afternoon Ghana today, we are going to dissect and also dissect the issues. What exactly are these going to be like? My guest tonight, this afternoon I should say, is Dennis Miracles Abuaje, lawyer Vincent Echo Asefua, will be joining us as well here on the show. Don't go away, come up from this break. I'll be telling you what exactly the show here will be like. Stay with me here on Good Afternoon Ghana. And welcome. I'm still live here on Good Afternoon Ghana. We are looking at what exactly is happening in the NPP as they gear for the November 4 elections to select a leader as we go into the presidential elections come 2024. Allegations about Dr. BAWUMIA. I actually told you that earlier before we went for that break. And also my guest here on the show this afternoon is Dennis Miracles Abuaje, spokesperson for BAWUMIA campaign, and lawyer Vincent Echo Asefua, who will be joining me via Zoom. Also spokesperson for Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA's campaign team. What exactly are they doing about this? All these comments coming in. First of all, we are having Kennedy Japan saying that the Vice President Mahmoud BAWUMIA campaign team attempted to bribe him to step down or to be offered as the running mates for the Vice President if elected. How true are these comments? But before we do that, here are some videos put together by my producer Maxwell. When we come back, my guest will join me on Zoom and in studio. Take a look.
Nana Boachiado, Nana we are Mosi, Nana Nkazabuidu, Agrikinzimahi, regional chairman, any regional executives, constituency chairman, any constituency executives, council of elders, any patrons. Utie Asama, Zongo for Eka Enano. Asem dead pow. Zongo for say Omun Jindi say NPP, Omudi Dr. BAWUMIA beba. But Omudi Nebadia, Omoba Tuamano, Omoba Tuamano, Sana Mokaya, Omoba Tuamano, Amba Enti Ushe North, na Ushe Zongwa, two strongholds, Dr. BAWUMIA Begina, Ebetofom. And told from so NDC to me we need election. Voter region, me call Gina voter region, making more votes. I'm a NPP. Where voter region? Making more votes. I'm a voter. And yes, sir. And yes, sir. Making voters, so making anti almost strongholds, no, you know, a bit shaky, homo. And intina, Omusuro Dr. BAWUMIA Sano. And yes, sir. Because Omunyina nim say me begina hwa mema omu showdown entina me pese ye nyina yenya ntia sese campaign ayeyi internal election. The main enemy NDC. So campaign no mayen kasa ntiatia obia. We want peace. Ye clean election, clean campaign. Ye pese obeko akokasa di obia. Because ye election no ye pese ye nyina ye kabombio na ye taking on NDC. So me can train me supporters, name me spokespersons in our cell. May di ubiat. You have a clean election. We are one family. We are one family. Let's all stay united. When the contest is over, we will come back together as one family and make sure the NDC doesn't come back to power. That is very important. Let's keep the NPP in power. We want unity. Unity in Cabo in the NPP.
And there you have it from the Vice President of the land, Dr. BAWUMIA, who is on his campaign tour. I tend to question myself whether the showdown slogan has been adopted by him or is still owned by Kennedy. But I've been joined on Zoom now by lawyer Vincent Echo Asafua, who is spokesperson for the BAWUMIA campaign team. Good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to Good Afternoon, Ghana.
Good afternoon.
Great to have you here this afternoon. Now, questions before we even go into some of the allegations that have come in so far. How is the camp of BAWUMIA doing? How are you faring?
Well, let me say a very good afternoon to you and to your cherished viewers. To answer your question straightforward, I think clearly the media is also following, so it wouldn't even lie in my mouth to tell you whether it is doing well or not. Currently, the Vice President is in the north. He's done about 14 regions as we speak. 2 more regions to go. Currently, he's doing his 15th region. So we hope that by Friday, he should have been able to do all the 16 regions. And that is how he is telling the people of our party the vision that he has for the party and the likelihood of he becoming the next leader of our party. If that happens, clearly, the people of the New Patriotic Party will not regret in bestowing that honor on him.
Right. Now, how are the people accepting him? We've seen videos. I mean, anytime there is a debate organized in his honor and all that, we see the numbers that go there. But tell us, from your perspective, from the grounds, how are the people accepting him?
Well, if you look at the architecture of the party and how the party electioneering processes are, you would realize that there seemed to be a certain synchronization or a certain linkage between the leadership of the party and those who are also at the grassroots. And I'll tell you why. The linkage is that in every constituency, you find the constituency chairman and the member of parliament who are always, and I mean always, taking care and nurturing the constituency. And so when a chairman and a member of parliament is going to vote in an election where the grassroots in that contest may not be part of that election, the member of parliament and the constituency chairman goes ahead to seek for the consent and ideas of its followers before it makes a decision, then you are tempted to believe that in any election where the leaders of the party, so as I said in a constituency, where a chairman and a member of parliament decides to follow a certain particular candidate, especially when there has been consent from its followers, there has been consent from party polling station executives, then you are tempted to believe that it is likely to reflect in the general election. So if I take my constituency, for example, Old Trafford constituency, you could clearly see that it's a constituency where all constituency executives, at least almost everybody, and the member of parliament have decided that we've thrown our support or we've thrown our weight behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We did not do so because of our own biases, but we did so by virtue of the fact that we had to consult our people, and our people gave us the mandate that we should support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia because they believe that it is his time and the New Patriotic Party should be able to make that history. It is that same spirit that you can find in almost every constituency that is visited by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And when he is received, he is not received because he's a vice president. He is received because the people of the New Patriotic Party believe that he is the right man at the moment. And when he is given the opportunity to speak, you could clearly see that he resonates with the people and he comes out and gives a language that the people will want to also hear. And I have no doubt in my mind that the euphoria surrounding his campaign is one that is genuine, and you could clearly see that every research that comes out, he's stopping every research. So I have no doubt in my mind that on Saturday, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to be elected as the new leader of the New Patriotic Party. So the euphoria and how he has been received is positive.
Right.
And, barring any negatives or barring any surprises, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be elected the leader of the New Patriotic Party on Saturday.
Right. I can't really hold your horses for you. I'll come back to you, but I've been joined in studio by Dennis Miracles Abuaji, who's also a member of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team here in the studio with me. Good afternoon. Welcome to Good Afternoon, Ghana.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Great to have you here.
Good to be here.
I was just speaking to your colleague. He seems...
That's my honorable member of parliament.
Right.
The good people of Tafo.
Let's talk about how the campaign team is faring. I mean, a number of allegations that have come up against Vice President from his competitors. I mean, we saw him in one of his campaign saying that it's only an internal elections and the big fish that people should be angry at the NDC. And so people should be careful about the utterance and all that. But then I have my producer helped me with some of these printouts. Let's see here on CD Newsroom, the presidential hopeful Kennedy Japan has alleged that Vice President Dr. Bawumia campaign team attempted to bribe him to accept an offer to be his running mate. I'm definitely might have seen this story.
I mean, it's an election, and typically you should expect a number of things from your opponents. And so none of them come to us as a surprise. It's been like that from the very day Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia declared his intention to run. And so the various attacks have it stopped. I don't think they are going to stop until after November 4th.
You call this attack only an attack?
Obviously, I mean, what else? What else? And so, just as we've done from beginning to now, the objective is to stay focused. As we speak, the Vice President is in the Northeast region, wrapping up his campaign, very busy, and he's not going to be distracted in the last 4 days to the elections. I mean, nobody who understands even numbers would even accept such frivolous, comments. It lacks any basis. It doesn't make sense in the first place. There is no reason for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to go and bribe a candidate that August 26th, you saw the figure. Between Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and the second place person was a vote difference of over 500 in a 900 vote contest.
But we have people also say that we can't compare super delegates.
Why not? The same people said that the super delegates, the other people were going to beat the vice president. And we said the vice president was going to pull 70%. I was seated here, and I said it. You should be listening to our predictions, because we have proven that we do what it is that we say. So why should I go and listen to somebody who, other people who, what have they done to justify they being an authority on this conversation? We go into an election, you claim you are going to win. The first place person gets over 600 votes. Second place person gets over 100, just a little over 100 votes. And you say we shouldn't talk about it. And then you say we should come and pay attention to you because you make an allegation of it. Nobody, the vice president has never, ever even thought about asking any candidate to step down. What is the point? He's been leading this election from the get-go, from day one. He's the most hard-working candidate in the entire contest. He has been to each of the regions. He's on his 15th region, going to every constituency. He has been consistently focused on delivering his message to the delegates. Why would he go and even talk to any candidate? And if he's going to talk to a candidate, is it a candidate who is trailing behind him with several basis points? Does it make sense? And then you mentioned any figure at all on top of your head, and we should be discussing that. We are not interested.
If you say, who mentions any figure on top of their head?
I mean, 800 million. Does it make sense to you? Do you know how much $800 million?
What I have here from Daily Guide Network says 500 million.
I have watched the video. It said $800 million. Does it make sense to you? Do you know how much $800 million is?
I should be asking you too.
No, I mean, it's not everything that is news. It is not everything that is news. Sometimes when people make comments, we should calibrate the comment first. You don't come and ask me to prove something somebody has alleged. Somebody makes an allegation, I should be proving whether the allegation is true or not. Isn't it that person?
It's an allegation against your camp.
But that person is the one to prove, not me. Is that not what the natural...
So it's up to you to say whether your camp is on it or not.
It doesn't make sense. So the camp doesn't. It makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense.
To your camp?
No, to every well-meaning person. How does it make sense? That somebody says that the one that's trailing him by several basis points is been $800 million. Do you know how much that money is? Do you know how much Ghana got in the first tranche of IMF transfer? It doesn't even make sense. So why should?
But is there any way the camp will want to carry the story, or let's say go after this allegation?
No, we are not too interested.
You don't believe it?
We don't chase. We don't spend our energy following frivolous comments. It doesn't make sense.
You don't think it will
No, it makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. We are still with the police issues because they are paying no attention to it. We are not interested in. You guys are interested. That's why he's there. But for us, it makes no sense. We are focused, and our focus reflects on Saturday in the polls, in the elections.
What has been your main campaign focus? What are you telling the people?
The vice president's message to the party people has about two legs. The leg one is about how much value he brings to the party and how his personal value is going to affect or impact on our electoral fortunes. And he speaks about how his presence in our party has brought our votes up in several areas that we call the non-traditional areas. If you go to the northern part of Ghana, the vice president's presence over the periods, at least since 2012, we can measure, has shored up our votes in the northern part of Ghana. I mean, the greater northern region, which before it was split into Savannah, Northeast, and Northern, had about 31 parliamentary seats. Okay, where NPP had over 28, and we had barely, I mean, some single numbers. Today, we are leading the NDC. We have 16 of those seats. The NDC has 15. It tells you how much personal value the vice president brings to our party. Areas that traditionally would not vote for NPP have started voting for NPP as a result of the presence of the vice president. Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA has introduced a new set of politics into our body politics today. Until Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA showed up in our Ghanaian politics, it was 3 or 4 days to elections. Then you have the NDC moving from house to house, giving people matches and, matches and kerosene to vote for.
You're asking me if I know matches?
Yes, do you know matches? Maybe you use lighter.
Oh my God.
Or if you don't matches, giving them matches and kerosene, asking that they vote for their candidate. But today, since 2008 at least, we can say that because of the kind of politics Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA, the new breed of politics is introduced. People are now discussing issues. We are talking about issues. People now can point. One of the reasons why NPP seems to be under so much pressure is that every Ghanaian, if you open the phone line, can tell you what NPP's promise was under education, what NPP's promise was under health. They can tell you what our promise was under industrialization, intellectual conversation. And that's the kind of policies that is now attractive to the people of Ghana. And they are showing that in the polls, and it's reflecting in our polls. So Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA tell the party people about this. Then, of course, he is very keen on the prosperity and the growth of Ghana. And so the point is this. We need to protect the gains we have made as a government and as a political party, whilst we pursue the outstanding things. And there's a history to this. Between 2000 and 2008, President Kufuor set Ghana on the path of prosperity. In fact, by the time President Kufuor and the NPP were leaving power in 2009, Ghana was called the gateway to Africa. It was said that we are the golden age of business.
Right.
Banks used to come to us and ask us to come and take loans. This is something that happened in Ghana. But in 2008, President Kufuor and the NPP government encountered two challenges: fuel price shortages and high fuel prices. And then there was water shortages. You remember the popular Kufuor gallon, where even in the middle of Accra here, premium neighborhoods, people will be carrying yellow gallons and looking for water. And then the NDC picked on these two issues and started spinning the propaganda and telling people Ghana is difficult, look at you lining up, looking for fuel, even ordinary water you cannot find. And then they started moving around with sheets of papers, telling the people of Ghana that Kufuor and his government have stolen so much money. This is their ADB bank statement. This is their GCB NIB bank statement. To the point that, if you recall, at some point in this country, the NDC told the people of Ghana that Kufuor and his government have stolen all the gold bars from back of Ghana. In fact, it came up at a Verton after NDC won power. And I remember the now General Secretary, Fifi Kweti, admitted at Verton that it was all politics and that it was a lie. But the people of Ghana at that point, genuinely, there were two challenges. They had no choice. They fell for the propaganda. And the result was that as of 2016, this country was on its knees. By now, Metro TV will be running on genset because there was no power. People laid off workers. Ghanaians were laid off in their industries. If you go to Tema, factories were shut down and converted into churches. Now we come to power again. Descendants of President Kufuor have to come and fix all this mess. Today, over 100,000 Ghanaians who were left on the street every year as a result of not having money to go to senior high school, as a result of lack of infrastructure, have all been brought back to school as a result of our intervention in the education sector. One of the most audacious investments in our health sector in this country is being undertaken under this government. Why? Because if you recall, in 2016, the NDC told us that they had invested so much into health infrastructure and that they fixed all the health infrastructure gap, only for COVID to come, for us to realize that, indeed, even from Okre, all the way to Adenta, Okre, Ekuapem North, Ekuapem South, Madina, Adenta, 5 districts had only 1 district hospital. And yet we thought that the NDC said they had fixed everything. They told us they had fixed all our roads. And yet today, even upon all the road infrastructure investment that this government has made, we still have the need for more. So what the Vice President is saying is that we need to protect the gains we made in education. We need to protect the gains we made in agriculture. We need to protect the gains we made in industrialization. The gains we have made under the health sector must be protected, whilst we pursue the challenges we have in our macroeconomic. Because clearly, there are challenges with our macroeconomic indicators. Inflation is not too good. Exchange rate is not too good, which obviously is affecting so many other things in the lives of the people. But in our pursuit of fixing those two things, we should not lose sight of protecting the gains we have made in the other sectors. So Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA is basically telling us that he understands correctly the gains we have made. The things we have achieved as a government, he understands them. And he completely acknowledges the difficulties and the challenges we face as a government and as a people. And so he is the right person to be able to protect what we have achieved and also work with us to pursue the outstanding. And let me end by this. You see, when we say efficient leadership, it is not the absence of challenges. Challenges would come. But the difference between a very bad leader and an efficient or a very good leader is the leader who, in the midst of crisis and challenges, is able to stand and say that, my people, I acknowledge that we are in difficult times. I acknowledge that we have challenges, but let's work together and get ourselves out of it. That is the difference between a very bad leader and a good leader. And that's what Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA brings to the table. In today's challenges, obvious challenges, Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA has acknowledged that, hey, we have done so well in these areas, but we have a lot of work to do in our macroeconomy, and we must work towards it. But it doesn't mean that we should make that mistake we made in 2008, where in our pursuit for the undone, we undid the ones we've been able to do.
I'll come back to you. I can see that you still have a lot more on your sleeves. Let me quickly go back to Abulaya Bisendeko Wasifua. If you are there, a quick one. Now, one of the biggest questions almost every single person has to ask is, NPP is already in power. There are complaints of economic hardship and all that. If the vice president is given a nod by delegates of the NPP, what exactly is going to be his campaign message during the 2024 elections?
I think one thing is that some commentators and most of the time, some of you media men always get it wrong. And I'll tell you why. The assessment of His Excellency the Vice President in terms of his economic prowess should be done in two ways. One, the very things that he said in the run-up to the 2016 elections.
Right.
And what he was able to do from 2017 to 2020, or from 2017 to 2021, when there was no COVID. Because the fundamentals, or the economic fundamentals from 2017 to 2020 showed clearly that His Excellency the Vice President has been one of the best vice presidents ever in the history of this country. Why am I saying that? In 2016, you remember that the inflationary rate at the time was about 14.3%. From 2017 to 2020, the aggregate of our inflation, or Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's competency, showed that the inflation rate was about a single-digit inflationary rate, which tells you that there has been an improvement from what we had, or from what we inherited from 2016. Again, the economic growth was about 2.4, 2.3%.
Right.
At the time that we took or inherited the government, the reins of government in 2016. Fast forward from 2017 to 2020, the economic growth has now risen to about 6.8. You remember in 2008, when we were leaving the reins of government for the NDC, the economic growth was about 8.6, 8.3% thereabout. And the NDC took us back to 2.3, 2.4 in 2016. We had to come by way or by dint of hard work, the excellencies and the competencies of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We were able to raise it again from 2.3 to about 6.4. So it beats my imagination for anybody to judge Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia based on the economic fundamentals that we are seeing today because of COVID. Why are we not judging him when there was no natural disaster? Because from 2012 to 2016, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama cannot tell me that there was a certain natural disaster. And for that basis, his competencies, or the fundamentals that was seen from 2012 to 2016 cannot be compared, or should not be compared, to that of 2017 to 2020. And if you do that comparative analysis, there cannot be any justification. There cannot be any justification whatsoever that His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia cannot be a president. And I must say, the fundamentals, or if like the figures that I have seen, or the figures that all of us can prove or can show or can attest from 2017 to 2020, clearly show that His Excellency the Vice President did so well as the head of the economic management team. Having said that, there haven't been any situation where any communicator or even the Vice President himself have not admitted to the difficulties that we are facing because of COVID and other global difficulties like the Russia-Ukraine war and what have you. We have admitted that because of that, it is having a toll on our economy, and for that matter, Ghanaians are sovereign. However, had it not been that natural disaster, or had it not been the Russia-Ukraine war and all the other global effects that we are facing today, where powerful nations like the United States of America, United Kingdom, and Russia and Canada, and all those powerful nations are also suffering from. It beats my imagination for anybody to convince me that His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has failed. He has never failed. He is not a failure. Indeed, he is one of the best vice presidents that we have ever had as a nation from 1957. Because clearly, as my brother Denny said, he has shown that indeed we can do politics of issues. Indeed, we can have a vice president who can let the Ghanaian people know that indeed, when you are given the mandate, you are given the mandate to be able to change the fortunes of the people that elected you. And that is what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was able to prove to the people of Ghana from 2017 to 2020.
All right. He says, well, thank you. Dennis, you heard him speaking about the fact that he cannot be judged by the economic downturn that we are facing now because, I mean, prior to COVID-19 and prior to the Russia-Ukraine war, the country was doing well. Anything to add to that?
I mean, that's fact. These are no opinions. That's fact. The fact is that until 2020, and that's something I've maintained on several platforms, even though it doesn't sound pleasant in the ears of detractors. The fact is that between 2017 and 2020, the economy was in a very, very good condition. And so people talk of borrowing and all of that. But for COVID and but for the unforeseen global economic challenge in 2022 as a result of the Ukraine and Russia, it doesn't matter how much you borrow. Because if you are borrowing and investing in the right places, we can get you to quickly, pay back. You won't have a problem. Look at our debt. About 40% of our debt is as a result of exchange rate differentials. And that's something nobody talks about. What brought the exchange rate differentials? Because between January 2022 and November 2022, something unprecedented happened in the world. All currencies were struggling, including the US dollar, including the United States and the UK, where they were seeing 40-year-old inflation, something they haven't seen for a very long time. Countries like Germany and co were struggling even with things like oil and flour and,
I know even the UK
and fuel and all of that. So that is a fact. That is a fact. That is not to say that it is an excuse that you can make, but it's only for you to establish what could have caused the situation that you found yourself in. So the point is that, but for Russia, Ukraine, but for COVID, 40% of our debt would not be there.
But people don't want
because
to.
40%.
You see, another issue here is that they don't want to hear the excuse of the COVID.
Why not? Is it not fact?
I'm coming. They don't want to hear the excuse of the Russia-Ukraine war, the COVID-19, as much as this might be factors that might affect the economy. But they don't want to hear it. How do you intend to channel the conversation in your favor?
They don't want to hear because you have people who would sit on TV and never want to talk about the facts. But that's a fact. I was in Yendi, and the people wanted to hear. I told them. They wanted to hear. Because the people, like I said, are not interested in an alternative that says, because NPP couldn't do it, let us do it. They are interested in an alternative that will say, NPP did it this way, that's why it failed. And this is how we will do it. We sometimes make Ghanaians think like they don't know what they are about, but they do. And so it is not true that people don't want to hear. The people of Ghana, they want to hear. They want to know what leadership has to offer. They acknowledge the challenges, and they want to see what your roadmap is. They want to understand what your blueprint is. And so I disagree with anybody that says people don't want to hear. It is only those who will benefit from the propaganda who make that point that people don't want to hear. Actually, people want to hear. They want to understand why fried oil, the gallon, went all the way to 1,500 cedis abruptly within a period of 3 months. And why it came up all the way back to 500 cedis. They want to know. They are not daft. If you explain to them, they would understand. And that's what we are doing. So in as much as people would want to spin, when we have the opportunity, we would state the fact. The fact of the matter is that as of January 2022, dollar was around 5 point something. And that Russia-Ukraine affected a lot of superpower countries, for which reason they had to do a lot of things to their currencies, which had a bearing on us. Do you know how much we import? And how much effect the Russia-Ukraine war had on our other trading countries, not directly on us. And then you hear people ignorantly say that, well, the bombs were not falling in Ghana, and so it doesn't matter. Let me give you a quick example. We buy a lot of rice from Thailand. We buy a lot of things from Brazil. Brazil, Thailand, Turkey, this chair you are sitting on is most likely coming from Turkey. They rely heavily on their phosphates and other inputs from Russia. And so immediately, all these trade embargoes were placed on Russia. These people were going to cut down on their production, which was naturally going to shoot up the prices. Turkey had their inflation move all the way to 80%. 80%. So if you were buying this chair from Turkey at $100 before Russia-Ukraine, as a result of Russia-Ukraine, Turkey is now selling this chair for $180. Now, when you bring it down here at $100, you sell it at $120. Now that Turkey is selling at $180, you buy it at $180, and now you sell it at $200. That is what Russia-Ukraine had on us as a country. And so if you tell me that nobody wants to hear, it's because you are not interested in telling the people what is causing their reality.
Who is interested in that?
Everybody who professes that theorem is not interested in letting the people know what is causing their reality. But the reality is that, yes, the Russia-Ukraine bomb is not here, but Turkey, where we buy from, has their inflation hitting 80%.
I'm coming. So you say that means so you are saying that
40-year high.
So you are saying that in a nutshell, you are saying that everybody who speaks about the fact that Ghana's claim or government's claim of Russia-Ukraine war having effects on the economy, even till now, is a propagandist.
Of course, but otherwise, have they told you why they think the economy is the way it is?
Right. I'm still here.
Otherwise, if you disagree,
I'll come back. Don't worry, I'll come back.
If you disagree, then you might say
come back.
I don't think this is the cause, but I think this is. Have they told you that?
I'll come back. No worry, I'll come back to that.
I'm here.
So I'm still here with Dennis. I'm still here with Dennis Miracle Samuaji. He's a spokesperson, part of the BAWUMIA campaign team, and also on Zoom his lawyer, Vincent Eko Asefua, also a member of the Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA campaign team, as the team gears for November 4, who becomes the leader to take the party into elections come 2024 to be president of the country. It's still good afternoon, Ghana here on Metro TV. A quick 10, we shall be back. Welcome back, and it's still good afternoon, Ghana here on Metro TV. I'm still here with Dennis Miracle Sabuaji in studio, a member of the campaign team for Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA, and also lawyer Vincent Eko Asefua on Zoom, also a member of the team for Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA, as we go into the NPP presidential primaries come November 4. Now, let me come back to you, but this time, a lot of names, endorsements coming in from for the vice president. How do you react to that? The latest is an aspiring member of Parliament for Achimtafo, Pablo Bachidankwa, also saying that he supports the vice president. How have we been dealing with this?
So many people are supporting the vice president. The man is going to make no less than 70%. So you can imagine. So fundamentally,
I like how I like confidence.
No, but that's exactly what I said before the August 26th. You see, the painful thing with these conversations is that when the surveys and all those analytics people come and do these things here, and they make all those predictions and we dispute. And then when we finish and hours come to pass, you don't call us, you don't call them. Sometimes you should call them and tell them that, guy, you said that people, they would do it, it didn't happen. No.
Oh, no, you can't say that.
You
called, no, please. Please.
When did you call them?
Every single time we do a prior and a post conversation, I'll let you go.
Then next time you call them, let's also know so that we also be
maybe
here.
When you watch, you see.
Because when you're making those predictions, you bring us, you don't ask us to only watch. So
the next time we get you on as well.
Exactly. But the fact is that based on the work that has been done, you see, so much work has been put into it by the vice president. He has been working so hard ever since he made the declaration. And he has given cogent reasons to the party people as to why it should be him.
Right.
In every generation, in the lives of every political party, there is always this one person that emerges at every point in time. You cannot do anything about it. Be as you may try, in as much as you would move around, there isn't much you can do about it because it is his time. It is a time of the vice president to lead this party. If we speak
of time, if you want to speak about the time, I think that issue of time was what actually also was being channeled by now out of the political party, Alan Chumatin.
It drew me so it's not the same as my time.
So what's the difference?
It drew me so that they were pushing was based on the fact that they've been here for long. You understand? I am saying that naturally in the life of every political party, look at even the NDC. Look at how President John Mahama emerged. It wasn't expected. Nobody could have predicted it. But it gets to the time where the entire party unanimously rallies around one leader.
That's what's happening now.
And that's what is happening now. And that's why you see so many endorsements all over the place. You wait till Saturday.
But the issues that people also, there also been reports here and there that some of those who also endorsing are also scared for the fact that if they don't endorse, maybe in the near future might lose their position.
So be it. If you are scared and you endorse and vote, why should I be worried? Whatever it is, it's an election. It's an election. We have tried to explain this and you keep hammering it. So be it. If the fact is that you are afraid, so you are endorsing, then when you go to the ballot, nobody is there. Why don't you vote against him? So the same people go into the ballot and they vote for him. So it negates, but of course, then it negates that assertion. Because when you go into the booth, you are not there with anybody. So let's even assume that you're afraid and that's why you're speaking. How about when you enter the booth? Why don't you vote against him? It is not true. The people love the vice president.
The people love the vice
They
president.
love the vice president for what he represents, for who he represents, the new order, the new form of politics. That is what he represents. He represents hope. He gives assurance to the people. He tells the people that I agree we have challenges, but hey, we cannot ignore the successes we've chalked. Let's protect the successes whilst we pursue the ones that are challenging at the moment. That message is what is sinking. There is no single party person in this country today who doesn't want to win election 2024. Every single NPP person is focused on winning the election. We are going to win that election with a superior strategy, one that will shock everybody. Yes, one that will shock everybody. And the person who is taking us into that strategy, who is leading us to execute this strategy, is the vice president. And that is why you see a lot of people across the country endorsing his candidature.
Honorable, let me bring you now. You are in parliament. I mean, the rounds being made by the vice president, isn't his work being affected in any way? Right, kindly unmute. I think you've muted and we are struggling to hear from the studio. And so on Zoom is lawyer. Right.
Let me add just a bit of an information to what my brother Dennis just said.
Right.
I am just a member of parliament. I am not an appointee of the executive. I was elected by my people. I am a representative of my people of Otafu. I have no fear whatsoever that if I speak on behalf of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, I will lose a position because I even don't have one. Right. So it negates that propaganda that certain people or most of the people following Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia fear, or there's a certain fear of they losing their position. It is a non-starter. There is no truth to that effect, and it's not something that we should even give any attention to, because clearly there are most of us who are also not appointee of the government. But we believe that, as Dennis rightly said, it is his time, and that time is now for us to be able to support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. To come to your question, you know that per the standing orders of Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament has recalled Parliament, that is tomorrow, at 10 a.m. For the third meeting for the third session of the 8th Parliament, which is supposed to start exactly at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So for the past about 60 days or so, Parliament has not been in session. So there hasn't been any instance whereby we will need the Vice President or he being in the shoes or by authority of the President to be in Parliament to support anything or to do anything for the people of Ghana in Parliament. And so it has not affected anything. And we have actually been on recess, and Parliament actually goes or resumes tomorrow at 10 a.m. So there hasn't been any effect whatsoever with respect to the work of the Vice President as far as Parliament is concerned.
All right. Thank you so much. I think we're already out of time, but before you go, a quick one. Let me come to you first, lawyer, before I come back to Dennis in the studio. We are wrapping up. Your last words.
Well, my last words are that I think that the New Patriotic Party, we may have to have a second look as to how we approve of people to run for presidential elections. I say that because per the constitution of the New Patriotic Party, to have a good character and of integrity is a cardinal ingredient of you being approved to be or to be nominated or to be on the nomination as a presidential candidate.
Right.
If the party approves of people who supposedly are supposed to be of good character and of integrity, but in the run-up to the election, we see that that is not the case. It's a bit disappointing. You cannot approbate and reprobate at the same time. It is a basic legal doctrine, or it's a basic doctrine in legal jurisprudence, where you cannot assert your right in one document and reject the same document in other aspects. And so the constitution of the New Patriotic Party, that gives you the legal impetus for you to be able to contest or for you to be able to put yourself up as a presidential candidate. It is the same constitution That is a new patriotic party constitution. That is also telling you that you should be of good character. You should be a person of integrity. And so it seems that some candidates are appropriating and reprobating at the same time, which doesn't give a very good image of the party. It casts a slur on the integrity of the party. And I think that the national party should be bold to be able to look at these things. It doesn't matter if it is too late in the day, but we should be able to make sure that the gavel is lifted. If the gavel is not lifted, it is a bad precedent that we are setting up for us for ourselves. So to end it, if a presidential hopeful put out that he has been offered about $800 million, where Ghana as a country, we go to the IMF to go and seek for about 300 million, where it is paid in tranches of about 500 or 600 million dollars. Then why then do we go to the IMF? It beats my imagination that people will be throwing some of these things out just on the basis of politics, and I have been very disappointed. For me as a youth, it comes to me as a surprise that the party has been quiet about this. The party belongs to us, we the youth, and if we are not able to protect this party, we the youth won't have any party tomorrow. So I'm quite disappointed, and I think that the party should be able to look at some of these things.
Thank you. A quick one, Dennis, wrapping up.
Well, I think that it's the Vice President wraps up his campaign, God willing, tomorrow. It's been a very smooth campaign period.
Right.
And I am very, very confident that the party people, based on the months and weeks of engagement, are going to give the Vice President an endorsement on a very big one on Saturday, by the grace of God. And what we will say is that between now and Saturday, it's just an internal affair. It's just a contest of ideas. It's just a lobbying game. It's just you trying to convince others to vote for you. It shouldn't be one that will draw unnecessary vitriol, unnecessary attacks, unnecessary insults. And just as we've always been admonishing our followers, we should resist any form of provocation and ensure that we go into this election and come out one party, in one piece, united and ready for election 2024. But whatever it is, by the close of day, Saturday, 4th November, the Vice President is going to win this election by a minimum, at least 70%.
Thank you.
Thank you too much.
So I've been here with Dennis Miracle Abuaje, institute with me, member of the BAWUMIA campaign team, and also on Zoom was lawyer Vincent Eko Sefua. I'm also a member of Dr. Mahmoud BAWUMIA campaign team as they go into the November 4 NPP presidential candidate elections. Thank you so much for watching. I am Bryce Nana Kwesi. Coming up next is Entertainment Review. Have a good afternoon.